So we're joined from the 2025 Afrotech Conference in Houston, Texas, by way of Detroit, Michigan, by my friend Shanda Cooper, there with the Detroit Development Fund, multiple entrepreneur banking expert. We thank you so much for taking some time for us today. This is our personal finance class here at Velma Jackson High School. I've got a room full here with me. We're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County Schools, Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you for fitting us in your busy schedule down there today.
Well, thank you. Like you said, I'm from Detroit. Can y'all see this? I wore my shirt just for y'all from Detroit. And when you're from Detroit, instead of saying hi, we say, "What up, though?" That's what we do in Detroit. So I'm from Detroit, super excited to be in Houston. Actually, not only is this my first Afrotech, I've never been to Houston before. So I am excited to be here. But more importantly, I am honored and elated to be on this platform. I have seen you online. I've watched your videos. You have some heavy hitters. You have some very respectable, well-known people. I'm like, oh, I know her. I know her. Like, this is really an honor. So it's not an issue of coming out of my busy schedule, but your students, thank you for accepting me and even want to hear me. I can see your faces right now, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't put anybody on camera, but
Yeah, I figured it.
but uh, but they're all here, and we'll have some great questions for you. But just give us a little background, because you were in banking and been in banking for over 2 decades. You are a banking girl. Started banking. You went to community college, which is, and we want to talk about that. And we're in banking, and then you were moving up, and then realized, hey, I need to get a degree. So
Yeah.
just talk about that career path, starting out at a community college, and then going on to a four-year university, kind of later in your journey.
Well, I went to, so there's a few schools obviously in Detroit, but there are two that a lot of people know about. It's either people talk about these two high schools the most, either Cass or Renaissance. So I went to Cass, and growing up, I'm an only child. My mother is she's the youngest of 14. So I'm my mother's only child. And then we didn't have a lot of people in our family who were college grads. My cousin was at Michigan when I was in like middle school. She's a lot older than me. And my grandfather was an entrepreneur. I had other people in my family were entrepreneurs. They kind of went the entrepreneur route. So when I graduated from high school, I stayed at home. I attended Wayne State, and I didn't know anything about financial aid. Neither did my mother. So, and she was even having she was a single mom and just having one child. Whatever, and I worked at Kmart, right? Not even a real job. Like I worked at Kmart, but for whatever reason, financially, since it was just two of us, I was not given any kind of grants. So I had to go to school and pay on my own. It was a lot of money. So I said, you know what? Let me go to community college because I never even thought about, okay, let me apply for a student loan. That never crossed my mind. It never crossed my mother's mind. I'm just like, oh, I guess I need to just go to community college. So I went to community college and I got a job as a banker. And I wanted to be a teller family. I had a few bankers in my family. And the reason why I wanted to be a banker is because I'm also a little church girl. So I was very active in the youth department, sang in the choir, did all this stuff. And all my friends were hanging out. And I was working at Kmart, which y'all don't even know what Kmart is. Kmart is like the first Walmart. I'm just
Yep.
saying Kmart like people know. Kmart is like what Walmart is currently, but Kmart was a smaller version. So I was working at night and I'm like, I can't have no fun. I got to work Sunday mornings. I can't hang out with my friends. I need a day job. So I applied at the bank. And as I worked at the bank, I'm kind of a people person. I started getting these promotions and people started saying, hey, Shonda, you need to do this. And I'm like, okay, I don't know nothing about it. Let's do it. Before I knew it, I worked my way up to being an assistant manager, not even applying for the job. I remember them walking up to my desk. It's so different than it is now. This was in, I'll let y'all put a few, carry the one and put a few numbers to my age, but this was in the 90s. So they walked up to my desk with some balloons. I was like, "Congratulations, you're an assistant manager." I'm like, "I didn't even apply for this job. I'm not ready." They're like, "Yes, you are." My boss really believed in me. So because of that, I was going to college, but I started making money. Then I became a manager. We used to have these banks and grocery stores, and I was working all hours. I was like, okay, let me take a break from school. And before I realized it, my break was 10 years. My break was 15 years. I'm like, I'm making good money, but I never went back to get my degree. So I found myself now a mother, a wife at 30-ish. And I'm like, you know what? I really need to finish what I started. So then I went back to community college, got everything that I needed. And then I went and I got what's called an accelerated degree, which I'm going to talk to y'all about. It's when you put all of these credit hours that you need to have in a shorter period of time. And when I did that, and I went to a great school, nice school, very good people. But when I did that, when you accelerate that time, when you speed it up, you pay the cost. So the cost of the program was more than what I wanted to pay, but I wasn't thinking about that because at this point now my clock is ticking. I'm like, I want to graduate for myself. I didn't need to do it for a job because I already had a job, but I graduated for myself. But the reason why I'm saying all this is because when you plan out, map out your life how it should be, sometimes even though I was successful, I also in the middle I had a commission job where you make good cash money. That really got me. I was working at the bank and I sold basically now what is it, Square machines, credit card machines. I made a lot of money doing that. And it was so much money that I was just really happy. I never thought about, finishing college. But then you pay the cost when you realize, you know what, now I want to switch over to something different. And all of these jobs you're applying for, you need a degree. And I did not have that. So I went back to school later in life. Now I got kids. And then I'm thankful to God. I'm happy for my kids. But I got twins. Who knew? We go. I didn't even know I was pregnant. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm pregnant. Then a month later, they're like, yeah, you're 5 months pregnant. I'm like, it's impossible. Come to find out, I had twins. So what they thought was 5 months was 2.5 months with two babies. So then you're working and you have these two kids. So college was much more harder than it was when I was just an 18, 19-year-old. And I got to spend my money on whatever I wanted to do. I got to go wherever I wanted to eat. It was before the days of DoorDash. Y'all have the best of both worlds. But that's how money sometimes, which is great to have money, but sometimes money can get in the way of your goals. Because I made the money, I forgot to check off the things that were equally as important. Making money is important, but it's not necessarily more important than fulfilling your goals, because the cost of the education at in 1999, when I should have finished 1998, 1999, it was way more expensive in 2003, 4, 5, way more expensive. So the cost of everything goes up. So the best decisions are made when you're younger. Go to community college. There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody, when you graduate, nobody's going to say, well, where did you start school at? Nobody cares. At the end, what goes on that paper matters. Where's that degree from? That's what matters. And in some states, I don't know if you guys are like this, some places you can get a community college education for free, or you
Yeah,
can get community
I
college
was about
credit.
to mention that, and it's not just free for everybody, but it's with a 20 on the ACT, and they get a free ACT during school twice in high school. Where was that when we needed it? But anyway,
Absolutely.
with a 20 on the ACT, they can qualify for free tuition and unbelievable scholarships and grants that look, I'm with you. We're about the same age. People did not educate us on these type of things. We want to see these kids have opportunities that maybe their parents and grandparents didn't have. So it really is about knowing how you can pay for things. Now, you mentioned about it's harder to go to school later. And I think a big trap a lot of young people fall into is I got this pretty good job. I'm making more than I've ever made in my life. I'm good. Then you say, well, I want to have a family, and that money's not enough. And look, I understand. Some people don't grow up with a lot and then they start making something, even if they're managing it correctly. And a lot of them don't manage it correctly, but some of them do. Even if they're managing the money correctly, it's still they find themselves on the outside looking in when it comes for opportunities for advancement. So talk about, as you've seen as somebody, and you said yourself, if I'd have gone to school sooner, I could have moved up sooner. Why is it important to not just say, "Hey, I'm happy with this," and not look toward what you could achieve if you got everything you needed?
So that's a very good point to bring up, and I could talk about it in real life. I have two kids they took two different paths. Both of them have great careers now, but they both took two different paths, and they're still not exactly where they wanted to be. But they make good money. I'm just gonna say, let's say for their age, they make over $50,000 each at 20. They just turned 24 last week. So that money, even as single men, is not really enough to have an apartment, have a car, like have insurance, be able to live the life that you want. Nowadays, young people have so many more opportunities and they have so much more access than we had in our day. But what money equals is freedom. It equals financial freedom. So if you did all the right things and you have a certain amount of money, or if you didn't, at the end of the day, whatever amount of money that you make, you have the potential of doing better if you at least completed something. So the reason why I said they took two different paths, one of my children is about to graduate. He's a senior in college. My other son, he took a trade. Now, I knew a lot of people, no, nothing against young people today, but a lot of people, look, we're in Michigan. I don't want to work outside. I don't want to, you had my girlfriend Dina Neely on your platform, and she has a company and supports the electric company. So everybody is not into fixing wires, down wires in the middle of the winter, and it's ice cold. Literally, you will freeze outside. Everybody's not into that. Everybody's not into cement or painting cars. Everybody's not into fixing, heating and cooling. So I knew, I was like, my son was like, college not for me. He went to college couple semesters, and then he was like, this is not really for me. Then I said, well, take the classes you want. He took art. He loved art. He took art, photography, all the things he liked. And then he still was like, it's not for me. So I suggested, why don't you consider a medical training? He did that, got his certificate, makes great money, was able to travel around the country, works in it's called it's basically surgical technology is what he does. So, but at the end of the day, the purpose of what me saying this is money is freedom. You have the capacity to write your own check, but the cost of things are so high. I don't even want to talk about what's going on in the government because I work for a nonprofit. So many people have six-figure jobs and have lost their job, and they're having a hard time finding another one. So there's no guarantee, but the best way to secure a future for yourself is if you have the basics, which is if you don't have a college degree, have some sort of certification. AI is a wonderful area to go in. I went out to a great AI session this week at Afrotech. There are so many different ways you can position yourself in the medical field. Nurses will always be needed. If nursing is not for you, start off as a CNA, start off as a phlebotomist, start off with something. But I think it's really important for us to think about the cost of living today is so much higher. And even when you graduate, we talk about a livable wage nowadays is probably $25 an hour. And a lot of people don't make that. I know somebody currently, college graduate, engineer from Michigan, has yet to find a job, graduated just earlier this year from
Wow.
Michigan, the top, public school in the nation.
Wow.
And graduated engineer and a great degree and is yet to find a job. So the best way to position yourself is some sort of education, secondary education, and then do something that you love doing. Because I also know people who got a degree in something they don't even like. You get a degree in nursing, I don't even like blood. If you don't like blood, you scared of blood. You scared somebody gonna pass out, which is me. Don't pass out on me. I'm not a nurse. You just look at the money and like, oh, they always gonna have a job. But it's not what you also have to marry it with passion. I'm sorry, I talked a lot, but I
No, that's fine. Now,
hope I'm
something I
making
did want
sense.
to talk about as well is you've gotten, you've been years in banking where you moved up. But I think it's important that a lot of young people don't understand the importance of a bank, especially now because we have the apps. Having a Cash App card is not having a bank account. Having Venmo is not having a bank account. And look, those have their place. I use them. They're definitely convenient for certain things. But when you go, you talked about wanting to have your own. When you go in and you want to buy a car, you want to buy a house, you want to open a business, they're going to want to see bank statements. They don't care about what you've been doing on Cash App. So it's important for young people to understand you need a relationship with a bank. Even if you don't want to work in a bank, you need to be able to understand how a bank works and know that that's the people that you need to go to for your financial needs and get a student checking account once you start having a job. Because we actually had a kid one time, he had been working, great worker, had a really cool business idea, and we had a speaker from a bank said, well, where are you putting your money? He goes, oh, I go to Dollar General and put it in Cash App. And she was like, Lord have mercy, we got to get you a bank account. So, and look, and obviously I'm on the outside looking in. I know for decades in rural communities, there was a lot of mistrust in banks. There was a lot of mistrust in the black community about banks. But the faces of banks have changed. The staffs of banks have changed. They've been very diverse in their hiring. Really, really a lot of great diverse minds in banks. So it's something that young people, especially with these high achievers I have in this class with me right now, that are going to be doing some incredible careers, they've got to have that banking relationship as they move throughout whatever path they're going to take.
Absolutely. And one thing I don't want to diminish is what I do today is I worked at a bank and now I work at a company who helps black and brown people, women, and disadvantaged communities get access to capital. So we give loans to people that can't get a loan through a bank, right? So that's what I do now. So one thing I don't want to diminish is also entrepreneurship. You never know those how many people is in your class. In Detroit, man, some of our class was big as 40. I'm sure you don't have that many people in your rural community, like 20 or something like that.
Oh, right now with me, five.
Oh, you got five. Okay. Hey, that's the top five. The Fab Five is in here. So out of those five, you might have three that might become an entrepreneur. Because nowadays, another thing when we talked about college, yeah, entrepreneurship is very real and it's a great opportunity in addition to what you are doing to in addition to what your career is to make money. A lot of us in this area that I work in, small businesses, we all have some other kind of business. So it's important to have a bank account because there are places that will not direct deposit to Cash App, that will not direct deposit to, I work at a bank all those years. I've never had Venmo. I never use Venmo. People like, can I pay with Venmo? I don't even know what Venmo is, but I'll use Cash App I use Zelle is what I predominantly use because it doesn't cost. There's also a cost with Cash App, unfortunately. So there are some places, if you get a job, they're not going to put it onto one of those systems. I also know that I had to pay somebody this week on Apple Pay. And when I paid them, a new prompt came up and it says, if you are paying the wrong person, if there is an error, we will not refund your money. So what that is telling me, these are not as secure as the banks who are regulated by the government. They have a responsibility to, if I pay the wrong person, they're going to give me my money back. Cash App doesn't have to do that. I've sent people the wrong money and thank God they gave it back. Somebody sent me the wrong money and I sent it back immediately. So it's really important to establish a bank account with the bank. And as you, most banks, you can get a youth or a child account, even if you have to add your parent. We used to do it at the bank over 5. But as a young person, you can get a bank account sometimes at 16 years old. And then you can have your own debit card. You can have your own usage. It'll teach you how to use a card. Because are we gonna talk about credit cards? I don't know. Is that something we're gonna talk about at all?
We'll have just a couple minutes on. I do want to get to their questions, but I also want to talk
Okay.
about Afrotech.
Okay, so you don't want to talk about credit cards.
I do
I'm
briefly because that's important when you get to college. I do want to talk about it briefly.
no, I'm telling them they don't want to talk about credit cards at college. That's y'all don't want to have
Exactly.
to, you don't want to get involved in credit cards. I will tell you, 90% of us can say at some point in our lives, we had too much credit card debt. The majority of America has too much credit card debt. And once you get wrapped in credit card debt, it's too much. So that's why we encourage you to get a debit card, get a bank account, and really understand banking. And if nothing else, like I said, money equals freedom. No matter how you get it, money equals freedom. I've told people who have also on the board of a shelter. I don't care if you're 18 years old, you have no money, you want to raise no money, you were raised, you had to use SNAP benefits, your parents might have been on government assistance. Money equals freedom. You can go to college and change everything around. You can get a different career path, change everything around. Money equals freedom. But if you don't have the right resources, if you don't know how to save $10 a pay, $10 a pay adds up. $25 a pay adds up. So savings is equally as important, but you're not going to save it if it's just stuck on that cash app card.
Awesome. I agree. It definitely has its place, but it's definitely not what you should use as your debit card. Now, before I get to their questions, and I got some good ones, I do want to talk about Afrotech because I'm something I talk about it all the time. I know they get sick of it. But, with social media just having such a hold on teenagers, and social media does a lot of positive things. I mean, that's how I found you. That's how I've met a lot of people on this platform. And it can definitely work to your advantage when it comes to marketing and things of that nature. But I always talk about find things that are positive. I'm a big sports fan. I like following the athletes and seeing what they're doing. And I like laughing at funny videos. But I like to find things that are going to be positive for me. I like to find things that can be uplifting, things that can encourage, maybe teach me something I didn't know. Afrotech has a great social media platform, and it really shows some very interesting things, cutting edge technology, things that are where finance and technology are working together. And you're there at that conference in Houston, Texas, right now, meeting all types of black professionals that are in the technology field, in the finance, a lot of entrepreneurs, because for so long, black community was put in a box. You got to be an athlete, and there's more opportunities now. And it really is such a great platform, such a great program, and it can be an opportunity for young people to experience while they're in college.
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you about two organizations that I have to uplift from Detroit. The reason why I'm here is the group that I'm with is called Venture 313. So you can go and follow them, find them on social media. It'll tell you the things that Venture 313 is doing. There's a finance component that does the loans. One group helps you get capital, and the other one helps build out your actual platform. The other one is Black Tech Saturday. Have you heard of Black Tech Saturday, Mr.
Yeah.
P? Okay. So Black Tech Saturday is another group. We're meeting with them today. A lot of the programming from these groups have done come together here is free, absolutely free, and gives you so many opportunities. So people come to Afrotech to network. I was in a workshop yesterday, the Venture 313 put on, and our team was talking about how to navigate. So when you talk about the importance of the social media platform and understanding people and meeting people, I was a late adopter to LinkedIn. I was always on LinkedIn, but at the bank it's super, super, super conservative. So they don't really encourage you as much to reach out until the last like 5 years. But that is the bulk of what I do for social media for work is I make connections on LinkedIn. And where else can you actually be connected to a president of the company, or as I tell my kids, the hiring manager for the internship coordinator for a company you want to work with? Like the social media reach is unbelievable. And yesterday they said something that I want to share with you guys in terms of networking. And at events like this, everybody is not a extrovert. I'm kind of in the middle. I know I appear to be an extrovert, but I'm an only child, so I go both ways. But everybody can't just walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, I'm Shanda. Here's my business card." So think about it. If you have to go into an event, you don't feel 100% comfortable, pick out 3 business cards or say 3 is the number. I'm going to meet 3 people. And if that's your goal, once you met those 3 people, you're good to go. So somebody said they grabbed 5 business cards, said, "This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give out these 5 business cards." So break it down, make it relatable. Don't make it an overwhelming thing, because it can be overwhelming. There are hundreds of thousands of people probably here. But look at the opportunities you have to meet with somebody, make a connection. Mentorship is so important. And then follow people that you admire. You can go on LinkedIn follow people that you admire. And that really it will help you in your career development. It'll help you in your personal development. It connected us. LinkedIn connected us. There are so many different things, ways to learn and grow. I love dog videos. I've got a dog. So I'm kind of obsessed with dog videos, food videos. I was all on TikTok. What's the best thing to eat in Houston? But also it's equally as important to find out the best connects to make in Houston as well.
Absolutely. Well, I do have some questions from the students, and these are really good. Now, this first one is Jasmine McBride. She's in 10th grade, wants to go to Georgia State University in Atlanta. Very talented singer in our award-winning choir here at Velma Jackson. And it's interesting, before you came online, she was asking, do you think it'd be a good idea for me to go ahead and make a LinkedIn profile? And I was like, absolutely. But her question is, at what stage in your life did you realize you wanted to make finance your career?
So, like I said, I didn't intend to. I just wanted to have an early job. And then one day, I've been in finance 10, 15 years. I liked what I did. I was a branch manager for the majority of the time, and I liked what I did. I knew I was good in sales. I knew I was good in sales. I could tell because I started winning awards. So it's not just about salary because salaries inch up. I don't know if you know. Yeah, salaries, you just don't go from boom to boom to boom every year. Salaries inch up percentage. But I realized outside of my salary, I started making money. I started getting awards for being a good salesperson. And then I did like managing people. So I was like, okay, I liked managing people. So then when I looked at it, the biggest aha, I will tell you though, happened to me, and I'm gonna be honest and let you know, I just turned 50 in February. The biggest
Oh,
aha in my life happened to me probably 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I was a banker, but then I started working in community development years ago. So I would volunteer when we would go to the shelter. I would volunteer. If we would go to clean somebody's neighborhood, do mow their lawn, I would go. So I always knew I liked that part. But then I realized I want a career in this where I'm doing the finance piece, but we get to give money to less fortunate people. So inside of banking, even though I was a finance girl and I was a bank girl, I had the biggest aha in my career is I want to only serve low or disadvantaged communities, low to moderate income communities. And that was my biggest aha. So I knew I liked finance. I'm the type of banker that I use calculators and spreadsheets. I'm not the mathematician type of banker. I'm the calculator and spreadsheet girl. But I realized I can marry the money with the mission. And that's when I found where I belong. So I'll likely always work in community development because that feeds me, that feeds my soul. I like helping underserved people.
that's awesome. And that's a good segue to this question. This is Azaya Ray. She's in 11th grade, member of our band here at Velma Jackson. And she asked, what's one thing you wish someone told you before you went into banking?
What's one thing I wish somebody told me? First of all, let me say I loved the marching band in middle school. I was the number one flag girl. But anyway, what something I wish somebody would have told me is to finish my degree and to remind me, like I used to do my tellers, go to school. And if the job pays for it, you absolutely should go to school, even if they pay a percentage, even if they pay 3,000 a year, take two classes a year. And the reason being is because there are two ways to enter into management. You can work your way up like me, or you can actually have a degree and they'll recruit you from college, and then you find yourself in a different position, higher, typically at a younger age. I just randomly networked with a girl yesterday from Amazon. Amazon, when she graduated from college at 22, moved her all the way to Houston. And now she's on her way. And she's a 24-year-old director at Amazon because she graduated, took the plunge from Atlanta, went to FAMU, knew nobody in Florida, knew nobody in Houston, and now she's here at Amazon making a great salary. She was just telling me about how Amazon is delivering by drones. She would have never had that opportunity had she not gone to college. So I wish somebody would have said, Shonda, go to college, and if nothing else, don't quit. Even if you take one class a semester. I used to tell that to my employees, but nobody really reminded me of that.
Yeah. And also, I forgot to mention, she wants to go to Mississippi State University, wants to be a therapist, mental health therapist. So
Wonderful.
she'll be great at that. I like this question. This is Elijah Dawson. He's in 10th grade. And he asked, cards get sent to me in the mail a lot. So I've always wondered, would there be one to actually get instead of throwing away the card they send me?
So, you have to typically be 18 in order to sign a contract in general in America. So they shouldn't be sending you like credit card applications, but it's possible. Anything is possible nowadays. I think one responsible credit card is needed. As a matter of fact, before my children graduated from high school, they were probably 18. I did add them as an authorized user, or we got a card together. So that one card we were able to use together, or I got it for them. I can't even remember. So there's one card that they had, which is good because sometimes you might need a credit card when you rent a car or when you get a hotel. Nothing wrong with one credit card, but you really have to be disciplined because one credit card, it will multiply and multiply, and before you know it, all the apps are coming in the mail. I feel bad, so don't judge me. But when I was a banker, I remember as a young banker, we would give out t-shirts to people that apply for credit cards. A t-shirt. I'm giving you a
Yep.
t-shirt and I got you signing your life away. We don't do that anymore at the bank typically, but we gave out t-shirts to people that apply for credit cards. And they did it. I remember when my kid was in high school, he had signed up. He wasn't necessarily, and I love the military. That's a wonderful opportunity. People want to do that. But he wasn't even interested in the military. Before I knew it, this military recruiter signed me up because they gave him headphones. They gave him headphones and he signed up a military interest form. So to this day, people will text me about the Army from this pair of headphones. This boy been out of school for 6 years and they still texting me. So don't get caught up with the free stuff. Don't get caught up with the free stuff.
Yeah, and we talked about in college, that is a big trap because they'll set up in the student union. They're handing out all this free stuff, and and this is true too. You can't even go to a dang NBA basketball game. I went to a New Orleans Pelicans game, and they're trying to give away all this free stuff to get a credit card. And I was like, you guys have lost your mind.
Can't even fly. When you're flying, they're like, please fill out this application for an additional flight. And you're like, yeah, I should do that. But if you're not, credit has to be managed. If you don't manage credit, credit will manage you. If you don't manage credit, credit will manage you. Somebody's got to be the boss, and it's got to be you, because otherwise you will get caught up in this. And this is the problem in Black communities. Another thing, we can never use cash advance like places. Okay. That's where you get an advance on your paycheck. When I tell you, Mr. P, I got businesses that have done it. We've got businesses that are in this cycle where they need money so bad they use a merchant cash advance and they cannot get out of this cycle. I've had people nearly lose their business because they needed a dollar amount so bad. So I just encourage people, listen, anytime you sign your signature on something, please make sure that you understand what it is and you are able to pay it back. One card can keep you responsible and keep you honest, but I never use credit cards to buy clothes. Like if you go in the store, I never use credit cards to buy clothes. I'm saying maybe one credit card, like a Visa or MasterCard if you need it, but we should not be lining up all these credit cards. Did you talk about Afterpay? Did you say that's what you want to talk about? That's another. Be careful about Afterpay. Pay in for. It's nothing wrong with that. But just be careful because that can also be a cycle. You put $30 down now, and then now they're into your bank account. And before you know it, your direct deposit comes in, and then the afterpay payments come in. And at the end of the day, you're left with very little. You need to watch your money every dime. DoorDash, look at actually the receipt. Look at how much you paid to deliver. Look at how much, because y'all, I know y'all on DoorDash. I don't need to be a prophet. I already know. Y'all getting DoorDash, y'all getting Uber Eats, Look at what that's costing you. There's a cost for everything.
Yeah. I got time for two more. This is Kalia Bullock, one of our basketball players here at Velma Jackson. She's in 10th grade. And she asked, if I wanted to start working this year in high school, what would be the best tips for me?
Best tip, people don't typically do. My kid got a job, his first job this way. I said, make a resume. Most of the time, people are going to, I know y'all got to McDonald's. If you're going to McDonald's or his first job was Sonic, I said, make a resume. Even if your resume doesn't hardly have anything on it, make a resume. That is the number one tip. Make a resume.
We made one the second week of this class. They've all done it. We've all had some great resume speakers. And I'll send those to you.
That's wonderful.
Great resume people. And look, I always say, if you can show that you have a great resume, even in high school, and then you'd be shocked about things you could actually put on it. Because they say, well, I haven't had a job. Well, did you ever take care of kids? Did you ever cut somebody's grass? Did you ever serve the community? people know your age, you're not going to have a lot of work experience. You can build that resume now.
Put that
And they've all
community
done a
service
great
on
job of
there.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
put
they've
that
all done.
singing on there, that basketball on there, that marching band. All of that shows your character. Nothing else shows character more than what have you done. You might not have the work experience, but I have the experience in my community. I sing on the choir. I usher. I volunteer at the kids' home. I read books. I'm in these clubs at school. That shows your character and commitment.
All right, I got one more. This is Zykeria Chambers. She's in 10th grade. She is a tech girl. I think really think she would enjoy Afrotech. But she asked, as if I wanted to get into the tech field, what would be the best opportunities for career growth and advancement?
Wow. Okay. So this is a hard one for me. So, like I said, I'm new to being a tech girl. I'm just now learning the tech space. What I would do, number one, go on LinkedIn. This is what I would do. There are so many different rooms in LinkedIn. There's so many different groups in LinkedIn. There's so many different people to follow. There's so many different aspects of tech, right? So there are apps, there's coding, there's design. Michigan just opened up an Apple Developer Academy. There are not many around the world. Michigan has one, and that means people can sit down and they can learn all the iOS systems, but you can look, in addition to writing code or writing product, you can actually design what an app looks like. So think about the type of tech that you like. Go on LinkedIn, find people that are doing that. Watch YouTube videos. Go on TikTok, find what these early tech adopters are doing and engage in that. Look at when you talk to colleges, if you're planning to go to college, talk to people that are in that school system that can help you identify the best careers in tech. There was a gentleman that I talked to yesterday, and this is a good final closing segment. There was a gentleman that spoke yesterday. I didn't talk to him. He was the chief technology officer for IBM. And he was
Wow.
talking about, he's retired from them, but he was talking about how AI, how he'd been using it technically in theory for probably 20 years, even though it wasn't called AI. And one of the number one things that he said that shocked me is how AI confuses Black people, specifically Black women, because the creators of the technology are the least amount of creators are Black women. So they don't have the models to actually create the tech out of. So there was a gentleman who was arrested and stayed in jail for 21 days because this video camera used this image of him and it wasn't him. They thought it was him. They're like, you committed this crime. He's like, I didn't. They're like, face recognition software saw it was you. And he was like, it wasn't me. But the reason why it's confusing so many Black people is because there are not enough Black faces to create the software to look like us. So look at where is the gaps in technology. Go and sign up for newsletters. I sign up for so many different newsletters from so many different companies. When you go to websites, you can sign up for these newsletters for free. Find out what the gaps is, and in 4 years or 5 years, who is needed. If the chief technology officer is an excellent job to have, excellent career to go for, it's definitely a six-figure and up job. Find out how you can get into that. How can I get into a field like that? Or if I want to be self-employed in tech, how can I create an app? Go where there are people that are doing that. Find those people for free.
Yeah, and then on this platform, I've had two people that talk about that very same issue. Dr. Ora Tanner down in Tampa, Florida, who created Black Unicorn Education to increase the amount of Black students in AI, and then Dr. Misty Freeman in Dothan, Alabama, who wrote a book about that very topic called Unconscious Algorithms, about unconscious bias in AI. And it really is, in the medical industry, we need more programmers to diagnose diseases. And like you said, people are being wrongfully arrested because of facial recognition errors. But I
Absolutely.
digress. We could talk about that all day long. But that is a great topic to get into. But we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for taking some time for us down there at Afrotech. But you know, a couple things before we go. First of all, tell people where they can find you on LinkedIn and reach out if they have any questions.
Absolutely. This is where you can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Shanda, Shanda Cooper, Coopr. I'm from Detroit. I work for a company called Detroit Development Fund. You can find me there. I'm also co-owner of a company that I typically don't talk about, but I'm going to shout it out. It's called Matari Cooper Clothing Company. My husband and I own a company that is a retail clothing store that is also in Michigan. And you can find me there And you can email me, lcooper@detroitdevelopmentfund.com. lcooper@detroitdevelopmentfund.com. I am very open, willing, and able to talk to you. We can set up our own one-on-one Zoom, but I do encourage you to join LinkedIn. This is very, very important to me to tell people that. And if you have a business idea, if you have a business, any business owner should be on LinkedIn, even if it's something small, and you should use it to connect to people that you would not normally touch in real life. Use it to connect to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the last thing before we go is we've talked about a variety of financial issues throughout this entire conversation. And one thing I think is a problem with all the youth in this generation, but is, you're 15, 16 years old. You're like, man, I'm never going to need this stuff. This stuff is stupid. I'm just going to make a bunch of money and I'll be good. But especially in the black community, why is it so important for these kids to understand why knowing the basics of finance is so important as they matriculate through high school and whatever their path is after that?
The reason why I think it's so important for you is because money, I'm not going to get churchy, but the Bible says the love of money is the root of all evil. It's not money. It's the love of money. Money is not evil. Money answers everything. You will need money to do everything you need to do. And of course, we're only going to get it legally. So it's so important for you to understand your finance because guess what? I'm a newlywed. I've been married for almost 3 years. When I got married, I knew my husband didn't have any debt. So I was like, oh God, I know I got debt. No matter what you do, when whatever money I have or debt I have to bring that to relationships. People don't talk about that. That's very important. Money not only describes who you are, what you can afford, but it kind of determines every other thing in life. What I drive, where I live, the neighborhoods I live in is based on how much money I make. So it's very important. And it's not, let me back that up. Not only how much money I make, how much money I have. Because you can make a lot of money and the way you live, your debts can equal right up to that amount of money that you make. So it's important, yes, have a great salary, have a good salary, but people with a super high salary or people with a medium salary, this person with the medium salary might have more income that's disposable to them because they have less debts. So we don't talk about money in relationships. I need to write a whole book about that. I wrote a book too, but that's another story. But because we don't understand the relationship with money, you will always be connected to money until the day you die. And then when you die, somebody's sitting around the table based on your money determining what you gonna wear, what box you gonna be in, where you gonna go. To the day you die and even after, money matters. Am I,
Love
am
it.
I lying?
Well,
Am I lying?
man, I never thought about it like that. That's hilarious. All right. Well, I'll let you get back to the conference. I hope you have a great time. Tell my friend Dina Neely I said, hey, thank you so much for joining us. Shanda Cooper, all the way from the Afrotech Conference in Houston, Texas. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hugs. Thank you guys. Thanks for listening.
All right.
Bye.
See you.